Hi, welcome to the 2020 Virtual St. Anthony's Feast. I'm Jason O'Leary on the Feast Committee for this year's festival. I'm here with
Dale Palma. I'm also on the Feast Committee and the Vice President of St. Anthony's Club this year.
And Michael Daly, a member for almost 20 years.
Today we're here because we can't celebrate with you on the streets of the North End this year due to the coronavirus. But we're here to celebrate with you online, and we're going to show you a wonderful recipe which you would enjoy at the feast every year. Dale's going to make you his traditional Zeppole.
I'm going to show them a traditional Zeppole recipe, and it's not really a science. So the Zeppole recipe, it's thicker than a pancake dough, but thinner than a dough that you would make like pizza, or bread, or a fried dough kind of thing. It's an easy recipe, very quick, but the process is long. So putting the recipe together is quick. Cooking it is quick, but the process of waiting on the dough to rise, and we do a double rise on the dough. So you've done them with me.
Yeah.
Two rises. Two risers.
Two sometimes is better than one.
Absolutely, I agree with you, because the double rise always ensures the
airiness and the lightness.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that's
I love
the
it light.
beauty of Dale's Zeppoles, because they are nice and light and airy. So when you come down to the feast and you see people shaking their bag, and we're going to do that later.
We have
And
them.
there's always the evidence that you had a Zeppole because of some powdered sugar.
powdered sugar all over your shirt.
So Dale's are excellent, and you've been making them for years, and your family for generations. You made them with the
Anzano Society.
Anzano Club.
I
So
did. So with the Madonna di Anzano Club, which was on Endicott Street in the North End, during St. Anthony's Feast, all we would sell is Zeppole and what we say tonic. Everybody else calls it soda, but we call it tonic. And people used to wait online just for
hours.
Yes,
Hours.
Yes, absolutely. And they used to wait just for our Zeppole, and that's all we sold. And it was a labor of love more than anything. And we would have maybe 15 or 20 men and women making Zeppoles as a production line.
vats of dough.
Vats of dough, vats of
Non-stop all day.
non-stop from morning, and they'd start the dough at like 6 in the morning, let it rise a couple of times, and then when the festival opens, we would already have them ready. But toward the end of the feast, and in the evenings, the lines would back up, and
People it's a traditional feast food, so I think that's what everyone loves about it.
so a basic Zeppole recipe includes 3 cups of flour, a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of sugar, 2 cups of whole milk warmed, and a tablespoon of rapid rise yeast that needs to proof in the milk. We use only Filippo Berrio olive oil because they are a proud sponsor of St. Anthony's Feast for how many years now?
20
years. Great sponsor. Great sponsor, a great oil, a great product. I would use nothing else but in my Zeppoles. So I'm going to ask Michael to put 3 cups of flour in our bowl. 1. And add a pinch of salt, Michael. Thank you. Give it a little bit more. I'm kind of a little...
2 pinches?
There you go. That's 2 pinches. We like that.
Generous pinch.
It's a generous pinch.
We are generous.
I'm going to use the Filippo... We are generous. We're going to use the Filippo Berrio olive oil. I'm going to tell you, for recipe's sake, 2 tablespoons. But I'm just going to kind of dollop it in there. Kind of like...
So you gotta eye it.
Eyeball. 1, 2...
That's pretty old school.
And maybe just a little bit more. So, of course, the next step is to add warmed milk. A lot of people use warm water to proof their yeast. We have to proof yeast in that. And to proof the yeast, a lot of people use warm water. I use warm whole milk. I think that makes
better flavor.
It's a richer dough.
It's definitely a richer dough, definitely a better Zeppole. In my eyes, and anybody who's tasted them and sampled them, I know we recently celebrated...
2-hour line.
2-hour line. Recently we sampled this recipe at Christian Guarino's home June 13th.
Yes, St. Anthony's Day.
St. Anthony's Day, and his mother and his aunt so generously fried them for me, for all of us to enjoy.
We did eat them.
We did eat them. We all ate them. A lot
Very
of
good.
them. A lot of them. And you can eat a lot of them. That's a sad thing. Or that's a good thing.
It's good.
It is a good thing.
If you're Italian, it's good.
So I've already warmed 2 cups of milk. I'm going to put it back in the measuring cup because there has to be around 2 cups. It could be a little bit more. We're going to add to that a tablespoon of rapid rise yeast, so the yeast will proof. Any dough or any bread dough or anything like that, you definitely need some yeast. Some people have actually used baking powder. I can't possibly think why. Michael, would you throw some sugar in there for me?
Yeah.
It's about a tablespoon of sugar, but I'm going to tell you, again, it's not etched in stone kind of recipe. Yay! So the sugar actually helps activate the yeast. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of mix it. And that's going to take about 10 minutes to get a little frothy. So we've waited about 10 minutes and our yeast is proofed in our milk. So we're going to add that to the flour. And I want to mix this a little bit because the oil separates a little bit. So when you add the warm milk to it, it will definitely help it. So yeah, the yeast is actually proofed nicely. And we're just going to add that in. I'm going to mix it as we go.
Wow, Dale, you can actually smell the yeast and the dough already rising.
Yeah, you can. And that's the whole thing. That brought a lot of joy to a lot of kids in families. Dough fights, yes. You know, it's a traditional thing. I'm kind of a traditionalist. I know these guys also are traditionalists, Michael and Jason and Christian behind the camera. Thank you, Christian. That we're all kind of traditionalists.
So it is a thicker pancake dough, really.
It's really a thicker pancake.
And you could wiggle it a little, but that's about done.
Yes, it is. And then you have to cover it, and it'll rise. I say 2 hours because you're going to do one rise for about an hour, and then you're going to let it. Then you're going to hit it down a little bit, like kind of.
And it's rise room temperature.
Room temperature, and then you do it again. So you want so it's a 2 hour rise, two different rises. So as you can see, the dough has risen. See its consistency. It's kind of like as I said, thicker than a pancake batter, but thinner than a dough that you would make pizza with. So we're gonna fry it. Now I have a heavy stock pot to medium-high heat with some vegetable oil. Again, traditionally, we would grab the dough, oil our hands, grab the dough, and just kind of push it in like that. But because things change in life, and we do COVID, yeah, we do a 2-spoon pull. Two
That's
teaspoons.
how they did it old school. As
Two teaspoons. Yeah. Yes. No. I mean, you can spoon it. A lot of people do. I know this past Christmas Eve, I just had my hands on the dough and I was just pulling them into the oil, Michael. So you kind of throw one. You don't throw it. You just kind of see how that boils up, and it floats to the top. And I mean, there's no shape. Some people can do them perfectly round. I can't, but that's okay. You don't need to do them perfectly round. And we just kind of, you kind of swish them around in the pan so they kind of get an even coat of fry on it. And you fry them till they're golden. It takes a couple of minutes. I mean, I wouldn't say more than 3 to 4 minutes each thing as they go. And see how they're floating to the top? That's when you know that the dough was actually done properly. So as you can see, they're cooking nicely. They're getting golden brown as we go. Michael's kind of doing actually the right thing by tossing them as we go. I have to make a funny here, and some people might think it's odd, but when we drain Zeppole, or even if you drain a cutlet or an eggplant cutlet or something, we never use paper towels. We use paper bags. The inside of a paper bag, because it stays crisp, and that's what you really want. I mean, if you do them on paper towels, you can, but I think using a paper bag will keep them crisp.
And that's why they serve them in the paper bag.
Yes, and that's why
they come out so fast.
Right, and you know, years ago, I mean, how many places used to serve things like French fries or fish and chips in paper bags, things like that, because it stayed crisp. And we're getting there. We're getting to the color shortly.
We're almost there.
We're getting there. And there's a couple of beautiful ones here. If you turn that one, Mike, I just want to see. All right, now that one's almost done. Can you grab that one too? Perfect. Yep. And sometimes they don't want to turn. You kind of gotta stay on them.
Just work them a little.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So that's about the color that they should be. You don't want them over browned, but you don't want them undercooked. So that's about the golden color. So, Michael, now we're going to remove them from the oil so we can drain them on our paper bags. And if you see the color, how beautiful they are. They're just gold. I can't wait to try one. It's just, you know, it's a labor of love to make these in so many ways. And it brings back a lot of memories during the feast. We could all talk, anybody who's associated with any feast, Italian feast or festival, can talk about. During St. Anthony's feast, or during any feast, but St. Anthony's mostly, the Zeppoles we sell with powdered sugar, or we buy them with powdered sugar, I should say. During Christmas, on Christmas Eve, especially, we sometimes add fish, anchovies, cut up bacala, which is a dried cod. In the late spring, early summer, when you have zucchini blossoms, you can cut those and put them in the dough. You could also add some raisins or pinoli nuts. You can get a little creative with them. Versatile.
Pinoli.
Yeah. Pinoli nuts, yeah. You know, raisins, pinoli, but that's not traditional St. Anthony's feast.
No, this is.
This is it.
So the best part's coming up. We're gonna shake them in a paper bag, put some powdered sugar, and I like some granulated sugar on mine.
I do too.
And then we're gonna eat them and get a little dirty on our shirts.
So the best part of this, Jay,
is eating them. But what we're going to do now is just like you're at the feast. Now you can picture there'll be hundreds of them in the bin because they have big fryolators now. We're doing a small batch so you could do them at home. But we're going to put them in the paper bag, right?
And they're still warm.
They're usually 6. You get 6 to an order. You could double them. You don't want to put too many in the bag because you want to shake them around with the sugar.
We're going to do a little bit more than 6 because it's a big bag, and we bought a double order.
So we're doing, a deal dozen. So, and then we're going to put this powdered sugar. This is 10 times powdered sugar. You can put some of that in there, and I like a little granulated sugar because I like the little crispy. And then we do this. You go like this, and then you go.
So,
Mike, you have to come here for this.
Michael has to taste.
See,
Michael. Oh. Look at the steam. Look at
the nice air bubbles, Dale.
The air bubbles, and it's nice and spongy and crispy. I'm going to share this with you. Cheers. Chin
after
chin.
you.
Buona festa a tutti. Buona festa Sant'Antonio. Viva Sant'Antonio and viva Santa Lucia.
Those are good.
Lisa Courtney.
We're making a special delivery. Pablo. Dale made you some dates.
Wow, thank you. Who made those? You?
Dale, Michael, and myself.
Wow.
Yeah, open them, get them up.
Let me see.
See if they're good. So,
Yes.
Paolo's from Montefalcone, where the feast is from.
Yes.
So he's going to be the expert in
Let's
this
see.
judge. The only answer he's going to give is they're delicious.
Bravo. Good. Very good.
That's it.
Like my grandmother, your grandmother in Montevecchio used to do. Beautiful.